And up next presenting, we have John Passalacqua, CEO of Phosphate, is listed on the CSE under a PHOS, dedicated to examining and ultimately building a vertically integrated mine-to-market lithium iron phosphate LFP battery supply chain for North America. This guy buys more stock in his own company than I think any junior CEO that I've ever seen in my career. So clearly believes in his project. He's the latest recipient of a $16+ million grant from the Canadian government. So John, great to have you on. Great to have you back. Great looking chart. You're such a hard worker. So I'll let you take it from here.
Oh, thanks so much, Arlen. I really appreciate that. Okay, so we're First Phosphate. We're igneous lava rock, but really for the lithium iron phosphate battery industry, not for fertilizer at all. It's a very special high purity type of phosphate, which is required to make the phosphoric acid, the phosphate that goes into these batteries. These batteries are 61% phosphate in the cathode. It's really high purity. So that's what we're focusing for. The LFP battery industry, we don't even have to talk about it. Everybody knows, right? It's now almost 3/4 of all the batteries produced on the planet are LFP. They've really taken over from the NMC batteries, even though the NMC batteries still have good use cases. But really, it's LFP going forward, and it's a massive, massive market. The issue is obviously everything's produced over in Asia, and we're trying to on supply chain as soon as possible, and that's something we've been able to do already here at First Phosphate, making these batteries with full North American critical minerals. So to get into it, LFP, why is it so important? Well, it's a very versatile technology. Only 7% of it is really EVs. The rest is really energy storage, data centers, the massive batteries that are being required for solar and all other kinds of storage out there. The batteries have better fire safety in the lower cost on the market, and they're really taking over, as we discussed earlier. And so really, Elon Musk has said the solution here for the energy problems in the United States and around the Western world is our energy grids badly need new capacity. So this is why we've also seen the lithium stocks really being up here. But what people don't understand is in the lithium space you've got over 150 companies worldwide that you can purchase if you're interested in lithium. Iron, which is the second part of LFP. Lithium phosphate. There's a lot of companies on the market if you're interested, but phosphate, there's only a handful of phosphate companies on public markets internationally, and most of those are in the fertilizer world. As far as we know, we're the only company that's fully 100% focused on phosphate, not for agriculture at all, but for the lithium iron phosphate battery industry. So we've made that our focus, which is the highest order of things for phosphate, which is the highest purity to go into battery. And again, as I was saying here, if you look, the reason we've done this is, lithium is actually only 4% LFP battery, but really phosphate is 60%. So people are really starting to wake up to that. And First Phosphate, aims to be the go-to name in the space, phosphate for lithium iron batteries, right? We've seen lithium, have its day. We've seen graphite have its day, nickel, manganese, cobalt, but we believe that, phosphate's day is coming really soon. And, we hope to be that go-to story. And we've been working very hard over the last 3 years, building this business based on the LFP, right? Because we feel that, the choke point in LFP battery could be the phosphate and not necessarily the lithium. And the reason for that is, if you look at benchmark minerals, right, they say copper is the most important element for electrification, but they have phosphate as number 2. They have it ahead of lithium, nickel, and anything else. The amount of new phosphoric acid plants that we're going to need is spectacular. 33 new when there's only 5 in the Western world. And, here CRU Group says we need to fill up this gap with purified phosphoric acid batteries. But the need is going to be really at 5 or 10 times from there. So we're filling a space that will never be completely filled, and we're really at the right place at the right time as First Phosphate to do it. And the secret again is this igneous phosphate rock that we were talking about, because it makes a lot of battery grade phosphate for the LFP batteries. Almost none of it goes into any waste stream, or none of it goes into fertilizer. Whereas when you're dealing with a sedimentary rock, which is less pure, that's like more sediments, it's lakes and in swamps, it's mostly good for fertilizer, and only a small portion of it can be used for high purity for LFP. So really the secret to filling that this supply gap here is the igneous phosphate rock. You can go directly to purified phosphoric acid for the battery. But the igneous rock is very rare. It's only found in 5% of the world's deposits of phosphate, really in 4 primary areas, and it's here that you see on the screen. There's an igneous carbonatite in Northern Europe. Russia's the only producer of this rock right now. There's igneous carbonatite in Africa, but it's got a lot of rare earths in it. It's difficult to separate. Japanese politics comes into play as well. Same in Brazil. There is igneous carbonatites, but they are hard to separate from rare earths, so they go into the fertilizer industry. But here in Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, Quebec, there's the world's largest anorthosite, and we've got an igneous anorthosite rock that we're able to separate very easily. We're able to recover 92% of it, and we're able to get it up to this, 41% pure P2O5 phosphate. So this is why it's so pure, and it converts almost completely into high-grade phosphoric acid for the LFP battery industry. And what we've got is we've got a spectacular resource. It's on surface. It's 2.1 kilometers long, okay? And it goes down to about 300 meters. It is open at depth, and it's 300 meters wide. And there's just in here, just with what we know now, there's enough phosphate for the next 25 to 50 years that could power half of the fleet of new vehicles in North America. And we've been able to already to upgrade this with our partners in Belgium, the world's largest producers of phosphoric acid, to purified phosphoric acid. And so we could produce about, from this deposit alone, 350 gigawatt hours of LFP. It's got a great NPV, 2.1 IRR of 37%, 2.9-year payback. Right now, we're just finishing off our final drilling program, which will give us all our infill drilling so that we can move into a feasibility study. We've got the feasibility study all paid for. We raised all the capital. We raised $30 million last year. We've also just received a grant from the Canadian government for $16.7 million, non-refundable and non-dilutive. So we're basically clear here, pretty much final investment decision on the project, which is really remarkable for a company of this size. The logistics are superb as well. We're sitting here in Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, Quebec. This is Quebec's 5th largest population area. This is where Rio Tinto is, so there's a lot of good workforce, industrial workforce and equipment suppliers. We're well connected to the port. We're 70 kilometers from the port. We're very close to electricity. We've already got a definitive bankable, a prepaid offtake. It's been partially prepaid to go to Europe, and it will be leaving here from the port of Saguenay, 50 kilometers away. At the port of Saguenay, we will also have our phosphoric acid plant, which will convert the feedstock from the mine into phosphoric acid, which will then go into the LFP cathode active materials for batteries such as these. Very well connected to the rest of North America, obviously, because of the old Alcan aluminum, the railways there, the deep sea port is there. So, basically just to sum it up, right, we plan to extract and concentrate at Bégin-La-Marche, turn it into phosphoric acid at the port of Saguenay, and then into LFP cathode active material, which will go into, battery cells for energy storage data centers and the rest of it into North America. This is something we're extremely proud of here. In 6 easy steps, we've been able to create, we've been able to go from dirt to battery. So we took the igneous anorthosite rock in Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, Quebec. We made it into a phosphate concentrate with a fully solventless process. Then with our partner Prayon out of Belgium, we were able to make phosphoric acid. And then with GK and Höganäs, the world's largest atom steel powder, we were able to make iron phosphate. And then with carbonate from Century Lithium, we made LFP cathode active material. And with the graphite from Nouveau Monde Graphite, we made, together with Ultium Technologies out of Nevada, the world's first LFP batteries, lithium iron phosphate batteries, North America, full North American derivation, meaning all of the critical minerals that went into them were from North America. And all of these processes that we have here are with our partners, and they're all fully commercial. We cycled these batteries 2,000 times, even though we only made 200 of them, and they work just like any other battery coming out of China, which means all of the critical minerals in the entire process that went into making it is fully validated. Let's stop and think about that for a second, right? Because when President Xi and President Trump had a spat about numerous things, President Xi threatened rare earths, threatened microchip technology, but also threatened the entire LFP battery supply chain. So we've got this embryonically within First Phosphate, the ability to bring this to life, and that's what we're working on, starting obviously with the mine. Great set of partners at the table, de-risked, Government of Canada, Government of Quebec, Prayon, like we said, out of Belgium, full collaboration agreement with our local Indigenous group, and a number of other local and international. Really de-risk through partnerships. Building a supply chain is a lot of work, but it only happens bringing the best of the best together, and that's what we've been able to do. Right now, we've meet and beat all of our milestones. Right now, finishing up the drilling at Bégin-Lamarche. We said we were going to get something out before April, and we will. And then we'll be looking at those results and deciding whether to move into the feasibility study, which I'm sure should not be a problem for it. And we're looking to do environmentals, finish the feasibility study by end of 2026, environmentals and permitting early 2027, and have an operating mine in 2029 to meet the offtake requirements from our offtakers, which are the definitive, bankable, and prepaid. We've done a really good job, I think, keeping the company debt-free, okay? We've raised about $50 million on our own with no underwriters. I know just about everyone who's invested funds into the company. It's been a lot of hard work over 3 years through very, very bad markets. Management and board have been able to retain 20% of the company. Friends, family, high net worth institutions are 40%. Public float's about 40%. Indigenous community. And I'll also point out that, myself and all of the board are 100% paid in stock and RSUs in stock, and our management gets 50% of their pay in stock and the rest in cash. That to show, really good leverage, very good sentiment towards the company, and that we're aligned with shareholders. And also, I want to own as much First Phosphate as I can. And as Arlen was saying, I buy in the market, and I'd be happy to do so whenever I can. So again, very good board and management. I think we're strong in a few things: capital market, technology, mining, and also, very, very, very strong teamwork here as well. Like I was saying, right, we've been able to create batteries, so we've had to go from mine all the way out to, technology, LFP batteries, and you only do that through teamwork and through, a multifunctional team that can work together, has, a lot of specific talents, but talents also to work together. Okie doke. So I think I'm done there. Maybe I'll pass it back on to Arlen if there's any questions.
Yeah, we sure do have questions here. Yeah, so John, again, congratulations. I've been watching you since you went public at 25 cents a share, and I watched you pull that financing too. When you announced that financing, and you could tell the people were like trying to sell your stock to try to get into it, and then you just said nope, and then you managed to be able to raise money at much higher levels. So that's what I like about your business model. You care about your shareholders, because obviously you put a lot of your own dough in this thing, which is good to see. Okay, so could you speak to the recent opportunities for you and First Phosphate with American Battery Factory and the Domtar Kinogami plant?
Okay, yeah. So American Battery Factory has been an partner for a long time. They're wanting to build these LFP battery cells in America, and they finally get offtake of their own from partners who want to buy their batteries. That's good because that allows them to get financed, and then they're going to turn around and they need to buy the cathode active material that goes into here, the LFP, from us, and we have offtake in place with them. So that's for us. I think somebody might have seen my tweet on the day where I congratulated them.
Mm-hmm.
And the second question was Kinogami, a factory in Domtar. Yes, look, unfortunately in Saguenay-Lac-Saint Jean, there's a lot of deindustrialization right now because of the tariffs and everything that's going on. Saguenay-Lac-Saint Jean is very strong in aluminum and very strong in forestry products, and both have been hit very, very tariffs out of the United States. So there's a lot of changes going on. And so, we are a bit of a surprise industry for the area as those other industries have trouble. So everyone's looking to First Phosphate for solutions. So I think there was an article that came out saying that, there had been some discussions between First Phosphate and Domtar Employees Union and such. And there's been discussions in the whole area, right? Like all of the politicians are looking for solutions right now because stand to be lost because of these changes and these tariffs and a number of things. So there's a lot of opportunities for us out there to, take on existing workforce and take that are out there to move downstream with our production. Obviously, we're looking at all of this. We're looking at it. Look, it's a great opportunity for the company, but let's also think of, the poor losing their jobs and the area of Saguenay-Lac-Saint Jean that really part of that business community. It's a bad thing for the area, but it's a great thing that a company like First Phosphate, that's a sunrise industry, can step in and help some of the kind of sundown industries to workers in some of their production. So we're looking very closely at that.
Yeah. So I noticed in your processing to go from dirt to battery, there's a lot of steps. Is there any way to centralize that or to kind of reduce the amount of steps to get to the end?
That's about as few as you can because I mean you've got to take phosphate rock, you've got to convert it into phosphate concentrate that has to be processed into phosphoric acid. Phosphoric acid plus iron equals iron phosphate, then plus lithium equals lithium iron phosphate. Then you have to get the rest of the components of the battery, the graphite, and make the LFP battery. But I mean, just the fact that we were able to do that through all of our partners proves that it is possible.
Hmm.
I wish we could snap our fingers and have technology projects ready, but no, unfortunately,
Excuse me.
that's about the easiest we could do it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, no, that makes sense. So with this government funding, how much cash do you have on the balance sheet?
So the on the balance sheet, I think we're about 23 million. The government funding is basically repayable. So we spend and then they reimburse. So that's under 16 million on top of that. Some people say, well, okay, it's like you have almost 40 million in the bank. Not really. I mean, we spend it and it gets reimbursed
Yeah, yeah,
at
yeah. Okay.
a rate of 75%. So, but we are clear, I believe, until pretty much final investment decision on the mine, which is really a massive deleveraging. I don't think you have any or very few public companies out there that are deleveraged to that level. It puts us
Yeah.
really into a category of our own, and we're very thankful for all our shareholders and the Canadian government for helping out with this.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. Like I saw that news. I was just like, oh, that's awesome. It's so good. Are there any other kind of igneous rock deposits in North America that out there that you see?
Yeah, so the Lexan or Northocite, as they call it, kind of starts from where we are in to Labrador. That's the only one that we know of. There could be others in the Arctic, but that's the only one that we really know of, and it's well known, it's well defined, and there is quite a bit of phosphate in different regions of that deposit. But again, the trouble is you really have to find it close to infrastructure, right? Because it's a lot to we're sitting at 70 kilometers from the deep sea port. It's on surface, so we don't have to have an underground mine. We have an open pit mine, and then we're very close to population centers that where the workers can come and work. The electricity is there, so that's really the secret, is finding it, but finding it in the right spot.
100%, 100%. Questions about like LFP battery versus lithium ion batteries. Um, on lithium ion batteries, I know one of the hindrances is temperature control, right? Like you can't really use them in -40 and +40. Is there any benefits on that side of the LFP battery?
First off, Arlen, lithium-ion batteries, nickel, manganese, cobalt batteries, and LFP batteries. It's any battery that has in it. So yeah, extreme temperatures are tough on the batteries, but there's ways around that, right? Like some batteries are, you can be inside of the vehicle, for instance, or inside of the energy storage unit. But yeah, temperature does it doesn't it can degrade the batteries, but more so it just makes it so that the energy has less effect, if you will. I don't know if I'm saying that properly, but you'll burn through the battery a lot quicker at higher or lower temperatures.
Yeah, yeah. And we've got one more question here. It's kind of a little bit of a loaded question, but I'd love to see how you answer this. Um, what he
Yeah.
curious to what the value of this company could be down in the long term. Like that's what this question's kind of coming at. And I know you can't say, hey, we will be worth this, but like how do you paint the picture for investors on what's the blue sky here?
Yeah, I think the easiest way to look at it is so the net present value on the mine is 2.1 billion. The company currently trades at about 170 million dollar market cap, so point we're about 8% of the NPV of the mine. Usually these companies will trade, I would think, higher than that. So just on the mine level alone, we're a little. But I don't want to be like the CEOs who complain that they're undervalued. It is what it is, right? We just have to build every day.
100%. Yeah.
And then obviously we have all the phosphoric acid plant. There hasn't even been an NPV set on that yet, or crazy LFP cam. So there's a lot of blue sky in it as well. So we just work hard every day, and hopefully the market slowly recognizes the value. I mean, we traded up from 20 cents last year really well. We've been raising along the way and have great shareholders and receive funds from the government. So, all is in order to continue to maximize value here for shareholders.
Yeah. You're doing a great job, John. Thank you so much for your time, and your efforts and keep up the good work.
Yeah, thanks so much, Arlen. Great to be here, and wish everybody the best, and hang on in these tough markets. It'll be over soon, right? And then we can look at the
Yeah,
other side of all of it.
100%. Thanks, John.